Sarah Palin, who gets a lot of attention lately. Her new reality show, as it were, premiered just last night. It's a reality show starring the former governor and vice presidential candidate and her family. Real Clear Politics Scott Conroy, who is the author of Sarah from Alaska, watched it. Well, what was it? How was it, Scott?
It's compelling stuff. I
Really?
mean, how often do you get to see a potential presidential candidate hiking up a glacier? Palin was trying to say this isn't a reality show, this is a documentary about Alaska. It's a reality show. I mean, she tried to force in certain statistics about the size of the state, and it seemed like, she was really trying her hardest to say this is about Alaska. But, the cameras are focused on her and her family. And really, it's a political ad that she doesn't have to pay for. In fact, she's getting paid to do it. And to me, it's something that's going to remind people about what they like about Sarah Palin. They like that she seems like a real person with a real family, with real problems, and that's what people were initially drawn to her. If you remember in '08 when she was first rolled out and she had very high approval ratings nationwide, it was because she seemed genuine, and that I think is going to help her here.
How long does this go on? Will there be more of these? Or?
Oh yeah, this is eight episodes long, so we're going to get this over the next couple months. And then she's going to have a new book and a new book tour. And then after that, I think she can, revert back to gaining some of that gravitas that people wonder whether she has or not at this point. And I think she recognizes that. You've seen her recently chime in on some issues that you wouldn't expect, monetary policy. She wrote an open letter to the freshman members of Congress. So it's not like she doesn't understand that is an issue for her, gaining that gravitas back. But I think she can revert to that eventually as we get closer to the point where she's going to have to make a decision about whether she's going to run.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean, you were on the campaign with her the last time around. I mean, once that was over, and then especially after she stepped down from the governor's office with more than a year to go, most people thought that, she was going to write a book, she'd made a nice fee off that, she'd make some speeches, make some money for herself and raise some from the party, but that really her political future, she was not going to run for anything. I'm beginning to wonder now if she might run for something. I mean, president, I guess.
I think you're right to wonder that. People who try to assess what motivates her, and they assume that it's money or just fame, and I think that's wrong. I think that she likes to be in control. For her to sit out the next presidential campaign would be extremely difficult for her on a personal level to do. She's surrounded by people telling her that she has to run, that this is her time. She has a very heavy sense of faith, and she feels that God is guiding every step in her life. And I think in the end, when push comes to shove, she's going to get in because she's just going to find it impossible not to.
Well, let me ask you guys about that. I mean, what do you think? I mean, it seems to me it is a very tall fence to climb. Someone who is in the governorship and she resigns, and a lot of people thought the reason that she did was because it was just overwhelming to her. It was more than she can handle. How does she get into a primary with a primary opponent, and the first thing he's going to say is, if the going gets rough, you're going to quit? Or what? Does she really have a chance to get the Republican nomination?
Real quick, I'm one of those skeptics who believes that Sarah Palin isn't going to run in 2012. I think she's just enjoying what she's doing right now. She's making a lot of money. Even when you read the book that recently came out, Game Change, they talk about how so much of her energy, so much of her, they call it her psychic energy, was taken up with her family. She's always worried and concerned about her family and making sure her family's okay. So I think really this is all sort of a scheme to just make more money, more book tours. I just don't see her making a really serious run.
What do you
in
think, John?
You're right. What you brought up is the shorthand knock against her. It doesn't take a lot of explaining. She's a quitter. Now, what's interesting about this show coming up and the 16-city tour is it comes just at the moment that Gallup has her unfavorable ratings as high as they've ever been, 52%. Knocking that back down is a tough thing to do, and you've got to do it if you really want to be a viable candidate with some of those voters in the middle. And those voters in the middle are the ones who are going to care about just what you said, which is she left the office in the middle of it. And look at the other people she's running against. They're all going to be going for the same votes in the Republican primary that she represents, the conservative, hardcore. So she's going to have lots of opponents. Now, the one benefit she's got is everybody's going to be very gentle about ever saying anything mean. There was a period a couple months ago where an unnamed aide said something not terribly favorable about her. An unnamed Romney aide said something that wasn't very favorable. They backed off a million miles from that. That nobody wants to endanger her constituency because it is strong, powerful, and ultimately those other candidates want that constituency to come over to them somehow.
And she's all over the place. I mean, it's not just as if she has this one reality show. Her daughter, Bristol, is now made the quarterfinals of Dancing with the Stars. So she's all over that one, too.
But I think everyone assumed that, America would grow tired of Sarah Palin. That hasn't happened. I mean, she's really one of maybe one or two figures in the country that it seems like we can never have enough of her. So I think the danger of overexposure isn't really there as much in her case.
Well, we're going to see a lot of her, that's for sure, and we'll find out more as we go along.